I want to introduce you to the club members who are presenting over this event. This is Deja.
I'm Daniel, I'm the secretary. I'm August, and I'm the vice president of fundraising. I'm Luis, and I'm the vice president.
Yeah. In a couple of years, they'll be where you are. I think August, Luis, and Deja, they graduated in the spring. Then you're going to be here for a couple more years. You know, Virginia, I still, from time to time, I use remember you told me your mom worked for the airline?
My mom worked for who?
For airline company?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I use that example when I talk about price discrimination. I remember
Oh,
that.
that's awesome.
I use that example in my class.
Thanks. No, you're a great professor. You made it interesting, and that's hard to do. So.
So now I'm going to keep that on myself if you would. Start working again.
Yeah, I just realized my audio was down like halfway, so that might be the reason I couldn't hear so clear.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Seabrook.
Yeah, rookie move. It's like having yourself on mute during a call.
Worse. People still do that. It's 2023.
Oh yeah, it's so bad.
You're halfway through and they're like, you're on mute.
Yeah. Or the Wi-Fi dropped and you went on a whole tangent and it's like, I need you to start from the back.
it starts at 12. New York City, there's like a bridge. And it's like- I'll send you.
Damn, this Zoom room is filling out.
Yeah, really. I'll take it though.
We got Story in the house. That's sick.
Hey guys,
Hey, how are you?
Professor Story,
Good.
Yeah,
good. How are you guys doing?
good, good.
living the dream, as they say.
I just got done from hot yoga and I'm showered and not really camera worthy, sorry. But I'm here.
That's okay.
Oh, are you in here?
Yeah, all we're missing is Durkin, man.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes she comes, I think.
Yeah,
But she
I'm trying to think of other teachers that I just had an awesome time with. Who else? Sean Scherer for sure. Language of the visual arts for those who have participated.
Is this view okay or this view? This one? This one better? Let me start in 2 minutes. We're going to get going in about 2 minutes. All right. Yo, welcome to Plan Food as the event goes. So we have plenty of food here for you. Enjoy it. Go for second step if you want to. I want to thank all of you for coming here. These are some of our wonderful students who, who are taking the time to share their experience with you post-graduation, and especially talk about the Oneonta connection. And I implore you to try to connect with these individuals on LinkedIn as well, just to increase your network. So with that, I want to pass it to Deja to start the program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to our Life After Graduation event. My name is Deja, and I'm the president of the Econ Club. And this is?
Hi, I'm Daniel, I'm the secretary. I'm August, and I'm the vice president of fundraising. I'm Louis, and I'm the vice president.
And we're also missing Yolanda, who is our treasurer. Special thank you to Alumni Engagement for helping us put on this event. Big shout out to them. So the way this event will work is that we'll start off with a formal session, which will ask a series of prepared questions to the panelists. And the panelists, feel free to add your input or any opinions to someone else's questions if you feel like it. And then we'll have the Q&A. So the Q&A is where we open up the floor to you guys, and you're allowed to ask questions to the panelists. And if you ask a question, you'll be entered in our raffle. And in the raffle, you'll potentially get to win a gift card. So to begin, I'm gonna ask the panelists to share some information about themselves. Any information you would like the crowd to know about you guys, starting with Nicholas.
Pretty sure that's you, Nick Brown.
Me or Seabrook?
I think I was Nick on the list and you're Nicholas.
Oh my God, Seabrook, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm Nicholas this time?
Nicholas Seabrook.
All right, gotcha. Hey everyone, name's Nicholas Seabrook, business economics major, graduated in 2018. While I was at Oneonta, I was a member of Phi Kappa Psi, so 56 Maple. Post-graduation, life has been a whirlwind. There's a lot ahead of you guys, and you're on to a lot of amazing things. I guess interesting fact about me, thanks to some performance at work throughout the years, I've been able to travel the world. Got to go to England a few times, got to visit Budapest and Hungary. I got to go over to the south of France in Chamonix. So there's a lot of world to see, and picking the right role and the right career can allow you to do that. So really happy to be here today and speaking with you guys.
Virginia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Virginia. I graduated SUNY Oneonta in 2019. I was a business economics major as well. While there, I studied abroad, so similar to Nick, but during college, I was able to view a lot of amazing places. I was based out of Florence, Italy. So if any of you have the ability to study abroad, you don't always have the opportunity in your career. It's fantastic if you do, but you never have the time like that now. So I highly encourage it. If anyone has any questions, you can ask me about it. But yeah, while there, met a lot of great people on this panel still keep in touch with today. Since then, I've worked as an IT recruiter, and now I work in human resources. Similar to what Nick said, there's so much out there, and we can't wait to talk to you all today about all the opportunities, all the questions you may have. So look forward to getting to know you all and telling you about my story as well. Thank you.
Sophie?
Hi, everybody. My name's Sophie. I graduated Oneonta in 2021 as a business economics and media studies major. I would say a fun fact about me would be that I was in a Red Hot Chili Peppers music video as a youngin', which is pretty rare. I just happened to stumble across it in Venice Beach. So that's usually my go-to fun fact. And yeah, as everybody else has said, I'm excited to speak to you guys today and answer any questions you might have about life after graduation. It's not as bad as it seems, so happy to speak to you all.
Thank you guys for that. So now we'll begin the formal session, and once again, panelists, feel free to add any input you guys might have on another panelist's question.
I think you have to introduce Nicholas Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nicholas Brown. Nicholas Brown, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Two Nicks, we'll figure it out. Seabrook Brown, Nicholas, just let us know. But hi everyone, the second Nick Brown. Believe it or not, I was also a business economics major. Graduated in 2018. While in Oneonta, I was a member of the Beat Fit Club, and I also played intramural volleyball. I'm just your average kid from Long Island. I was a transfer student, so started at Suffolk County Community College. Initially wanted to be a doctor, so I was a bio major, switched to business in the middle of my second year, got to organic chemistry and realized I know nothing about chemistry. So finance was kind of my concentration. Right out of school, I was working in a bar just to pay rent in New York City. And then I got my first job in software sales. And then I transferred to a wine distributor as an analyst, and now I am a financial advisor at Edward Jones, so in Newburgh, if anyone's in the Hudson Valley region. So again, love to travel, do my thing. Any questions, more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Nicholas Brown, sorry. Now we'll begin our formal session, and the first question is for Nicholas Seabrook. What are some of the best ways to invest in yourself as you begin your career?
Yeah, great question. So I would say first is become a reader. I'm not the biggest book guy, so I use a lot of audiobooks, but if I like the audiobook, I'll buy the hardcover. Second is seek out professional groups and communities. The more people you're able to network with in a professional setting, the bigger your network will become, and the more you could tap into it as time goes on. And I would say the last couple of parts is around gaining certifications that will help you level yourself up. So it's under this idea of the more you know, the more they'll pay. So get the certifications, join the communities, read the books, and just make yourself a little bit more knowledgeable about your industry or the clients that you serve or the industry that you work in. I would say those are probably the quickest ways to upskill yourself right out of the gate.
Thank you, Nick. Virginia, what advice would you give to your college self?
My college self. Yeah, study.
I think it's
Just-
me, Nick. They're going.
Oh, I thought you said
for
Nick.
first.
Oh, my bad.
No worries. So college self, I would say similar, honestly, to what Nick said, learn anything and everything you can. Talk to your classmates, talk to your professors, go to office hours. Even if you're a little confused about something, ask them because they're a resource for you. And then on top of that, network while you're in college. There are so many like-minded people who want to, grow in their professional career as well. Go to different clubs. You're in this club, go to a new club, try a new club every year. Similar to what I just said, but converse with as many people as you can and don't be shy. I was in a meeting with my CEO, and we have an intern class of like 20 people this past summer. And he told the interns, well, one of them asked, what's one piece of advice you give to a college student looking for a job? He said, don't be shy, go to the office, sit in the meetings, and don't be shy. So just network, don't be shy, and talk to as many people as you can is what I'd give to myself.
Thanks, Virginia. Sophie, what was your journey like to get to your current role, and what contributed to where you are at today?
Yeah, so I would say to get to my current role, my journey was very complicated, to say the least. And I think that's important to point out because it can feel really discouraging or unproductive in the moment. But in my opinion, it was personally important for me to have not a so straightforward path and to still not have a very straightforward path. By the way, apologies for any noise you might hear. I'm in New York City and it's very loud. But anyways, I digress. So going into college, I ended up not knowing what I wanted to do at all. I started with econ. Don't know why, I just did. I received a 2 on the AP Macro high school test. Like, I don't know why I did it. I just did. And I also have dreams of being soon like a business owner, so that'd be great too. But I started with econ. As a freshman, it just didn't pan out for me. So I ended up dropping it for media studies. And then a year later, ended up adding it back as a dual major. So I was doing both. Also during my time in college, I had the most random jobs in the world. I was a gymnastics coach, a receptionist, a copyright intern, a mental health worker. Like, as you can see, none of which have a common denominator. And my friends used to joke about my work experience being such a mixed bag, and they never knew what I was gonna do next, as I didn't either. So I would say from there to where I'm at now and the whole journey I went through until I've gone to where I'm at now at Dow Jones, I'm still unsure what I want to do. I know that when I left college, I was a bank teller and I hated it. I know that when I realized I hated it, I started applying to places right away. I was applying for marketing roles, data analyst positions, applying at recruitment agencies, all very random. I ended up landing a few offers for recruitment, which, if we're being honest, I applied to heighten my odds of finding a job because I was afraid of sales. But I ended up taking it, moving to New York City right off the dome, and really just squashed my fear of sales, got that behind me, and ended up where I am now. So I think basically what I'm trying to say here is that your path is going to look all sorts of ways, and it's supposed to. And in the end, I'd like to say, sometimes the most unexpected roles, like my dreaded sales role, paves the way to our like self-proclaimed passions, or where we find those passions unexpectedly on the way. So it's all part of the process. If you're in the position I was in, where you're changing majors and changing jobs and doing everything in between, I would say that you're doing it for a reason, and that your gut is bringing you to do it, and you'll find your right path in the end from those opportunities that might not feel right in the moment.
Thanks, Sophie. This is for Nicholas Brown. If you were able to go back in time and do your senior or junior year at Oneonta, what would you change?
Yeah, thanks. And Sophie, I absolutely loved everything you said. If that wasn't obvious, but to answer that question, going back to junior, senior year, maybe not a ton, because honestly, I went out and I enjoyed myself, and I would love to just remind you guys to do that. Make sure you go out, have some fun. It's a bubble. You'll look back and you'll wish you were back. I mean, I absolutely loved college. So the other thing too, because I was a transfer, I actually graduated a semester late. Seabrook and kind of my old friend group had graduated in the spring. I was kind of stuck by myself for that December session. And I became an RA. I was like, I don't know, maybe it'll be a way to meet people. And that is by far the thing that developed my character more than anything. when I started, I was like, oh, you know, RAs are the cops and, you know, they just kind of tell you what to do and they're brutal. But honestly, I love the RA group I was in. I was in Huntington Hall. Not sure if any of my residents are still there, but loved it. Great time. Again, also just the word network, I think can be overused. There's some people don't like that word, but really just like what Seabrook and Virginia were saying, it's just going out and meeting people, because when you graduate college, you're going to be looking everywhere for a job. So anyone you've spoken with, maybe they're a recruiter or someone they know. I've actually gotten all 3 of my jobs from someone I knew, not random LinkedIn applications. So
Thank you. Nicholas Seabrook, how do you deal with ageism in the workplace as the youngest person on the team?
Yeah, so for a lot of you guys, you'll probably be running into this in a few months or years, depending on where you land up. The odds of being the youngest person on your team is really high, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be given responsibilities to maybe lead said team. So my biggest advice there would be preparation. If you're going into a meeting, you need to have a purpose benefit check. The people there need to understand why they're in that meeting. And at the end of the day, your job is not to get everyone to like you. Like, I'll find myself in meetings with interns sometimes, and I'm thinking to myself, what does this person know? Or what value are they going to bring to the meeting? But even if they don't know as much as I know, or, you know, they haven't dealt with the type of situations I've dealt with professionally, I know if they at least show up, they're prepared, they pay attention, they take notes, and they raise their hand and ask questions when necessary, and the input that they're giving into the meeting shows that they care, I know I can respect that person as a professional because they're at least trying. You'd be surprised how many people you might work with that have mailed it in. But again, your, I guess, superpower coming into the workforce is the fact that you have fresh ideas. You know, you got a little bit more giddy up, we would hope. And again, you can't do anything about the years of experience that you don't have, but what you can do is be over prepared and make sure that people understand that you're not there to overall, you know, make friends. You're there to get a job done and deliver the results that the client or the people that you're working with are looking for. So again, preparation, make sure that the people that are in the meeting with you know what the goals of the meeting are, and that you hold everyone accountable. Because at the end of the day, whether you're on the client side or the buyer side, you know, there's results that need to be delivered on. So again, just be prepared and make sure you come with a clear agenda.
Thank you. Virginia, how did you get into HR?
Before I answer that, I just wanted to touch on what Nick said as well. I think being in a world post-COVID, there are too many meetings on everyone's calendar. So it's really important to bring value, or else people might identify you as someone who just throws meetings on the calendar. So definitely be prepared for those meetings. So going into meetings, I work in HR and there are a lot of meetings. Some of them, you know, good. Some of them maybe not the best. But so my first job outside of college, I was an IT recruiter for an agency. I learned all about talent and recruitment, sourcing, strategy, kind of business development. And then the next step would really be an account manager and do sales. And I looked into that, but then the pandemic hit. So I'd been working almost 2 years and I was able to work from home. So I had some free time to explore other opportunities. I knew I had a business degree and I knew I wanted to stay in that realm. I was looking into project management, project coordinators, business analysts, even reached out to Nick Brown to see what he was doing as a business analyst. And I fell into HR, similar to what Nick Brown said. There was an open opportunity at my current company. Someone I went to Oneonta with and was in the marketing club with me worked there. We were friends on LinkedIn. I applied on my own, but then I sent him my resume and said, hey, would you mind putting this in front of the hiring manager? So I landed at 1-800-Flowers, where I work now. And that's kind of how I got into HR from working in recruitment sales. So there's definitely avenues. If your first job, you're not in love with it, not everyone is. We don't stay at the same job for 50 years. Opportunities to kind of pivot into different career paths.
Thanks, Virginia. So, what is something you wish you had known upon graduation that you know now?
So I would say there's a few things for sure, kind of speaking to what the rest of them have been speaking to, is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So learning in school while you can, learning to speak up even if you don't find it fitting, to lead a group presentation, to be the first to raise your hand, ask questions, get to know your teachers, get to know each other, creating that network and creating a space where you feel comfortable and you can learn to be comfortable speaking out is huge when you go into the real world, because you can translate all of that into your interviews or negotiating your base pay or asking for a promotion or leading a meeting or just creating a further network and getting to your eventual dream job. Maybe that's how you're going to get it. So I'd say for me, that was one thing in college I wish I did more of, is just getting comfortable being uncomfortable and putting myself out there, even if it's silly and it's like a question that's obvious. Say it first, whatever. I would also say do things for you. So if your journey feels anything like mine, you're probably stressed, but you also probably won't regret it. So being young in your 20s, in our 20s, is our first chance to try a billion different things and not know what we're going to do with them. So I think, you know, a lot of people might feel the pressure from your parents to have a straight and narrow path, or outside pressure from your friends who have known what they want to do since middle school. Like I can think of one friend who she wanted to be a pharmacist, and she's a pharmacist right now. And she decided that in middle school. I don't know how that happens, but it does for some people. But I think that it's important to just trust your gut. And if your gut is throwing you in 80 different directions in the course of 4 years, let that be. And it's probably for a reason that you just can't see right now, is what I'd like to say and think from my past college experiences. Another thing I wish I did was internships. I sadly only did one in college, and I wish I did a lot more, because I like to think I would have saved a lot of stress and uncertainty. So internships, as we all know, they teach you something that a classroom can't. It's not only a fantastic resume builder, it gives you real world experience. It teaches you how to network and communicate, helps you build a network. Maybe the internship that you apply for and you do that summer is going to be your first real world big girl or boy job. You just don't know. So I think internships are huge and would have saved me a lot of stress going into the real world after post-college if I had done more of them. And then I think the last one just goes without saying, is just to enjoy it while you can. You know, there's not many opportunities like college. There's not anything that replicates it that you'll ever come across again. You get to create your own schedule, live with your friends in the same building, wake up at 1 if you want to, go to ladies' night on Wednesday, whatever. Like, enjoy it, because it's really fantastic and you can take so much out of it in addition to how great it is. So that's what I would say.
Sophie, that was great. Mr. Brown, when you switch your major to business economics, what do you think your day-to-day job will look like versus what you actually do now?
Yeah, so one thing quick, Sophie said with internships, that's actually how I met Virginia, Enterprise Rent a Car. So they do teach you something. So, but to answer your question, Lewis, is I knew I wanted to work in finance. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So when I initially thought of what does a financial advisor do, I thought it was way more analytical than it actually is. So I would say 20% of my day is picking investments, doing research, understanding, you know, what's a good investment right now. 60% of my job is psychology. I would honestly say that's the most important thing to have if you wanted to go into this field. I wish I had a master's degree in psychology. It's understanding people, why they do what they do, how you can tell them why this is a good investment and how it makes specifically for them. And then maybe another 20% is doing admin and clerical stuff. But I would say the most important thing is understanding people, whereas I thought it was just about, hey, you know, X stock is really good right now. Everyone's going to buy it. But people don't care how much you know until they understand how much that you care.
Thank you. Nicholas Seabrook, how do you deal with comparing yourself against your peers when you first graduated?
Yep. Thank you for the question. So I wanted to put this question on air because, like, when you graduate, it's so easy to just compare yourself to the group that you graduated with. And I'm sure you'll have some people in your class that have a dad or a cousin or a brother that's in some position where they can hook them up. And nepotism is real. It's just one of those things. It's going to happen if you try to compare yourself against the, you know, uncle cousin of like JP Morgan. You're going to lose unless your cousin is also, you know, Jamie Dimon. So I would say try your best not to compare, but it's also healthy in certain friend groups to have that type of comparison. So what I would say in this case is figure out what you value. Like, do you value money? Is money the end all be all of what's going to make you happy in your role? Is it work-life balance? Is it opportunity to travel? Is it some type of progression to get that director title? Like, I know guys out there that have a director title that make no money. And it's like, great, you're a director, but you make like $50,000 a year. It's like, I don't see how that works. But again, I digress. So figure out what matters to you. So if it's money, go after it. If it's work-life balance, go after it. If it's travel and incentives, go after it. The other part I would add to that is it's good to have a group. So within your friend group or professional group, find some people that you feel comfortable talking about money with, because at the end of the day, you need to understand what you're worth on the market. And if me and employee X have the same qualifications and the same background and went to similar schools, have like similar experiences, and they're getting paid a whole bunch more money than me, I need to understand why is that, and maybe I need to take my talents elsewhere. Something that they don't teach you coming out of school is how to quit a job. Like, there's a lot of people that stay at their first job way too long. The culture's fun, they like everyone, the boss likes them, they're good at what they're doing, but like ultimately you have outgrown that pot and it's time for you to go to a different place. So again, figure out what you care about. If it's money, go for it. If it's work-life balance, go for it. If it's incentives, go for it. But if you don't have a network or a group of people that you feel cool talking about, how much are you earning, how much are you saving, what are you getting compensated for your role? So like comparing yourself, let's say you're an entry-level analyst, comparing yourself to your buddy who's been in like corporate sales for 2 years, it's not comparable. So make sure you're comparing yourself against people that are actually in the same realm of what you're doing before you make some big decision about you being undercompensated. So again, figure out what you want and then figure out a group of friends that you could talk to about that so that you can have an understanding of where you're valued in the market.
Thank you, Nick. That was very insightful. Virginia, what was the process like for securing a job when you graduated from Oneonta? When did you begin applying? And what is some advice you would give to someone who is planning on going straight to the workforce after college?
Yeah, this is a great question. Like Nick said, Nick Brown, we met at an internship. And like I said, I got my second job out of college from someone I knew at Oneonta. So internships are important. I was fortunate enough to have 3, and I did them every summer. I did it sophomore going to junior, then junior going to senior. It was definitely a grind. Sophomore going to junior, it was unpaid. So I worked part-time. I had an internship and I was taking a summer class at Nassau on Long Island. So work while you can. I know still want to have fun, but that internship helped me network. And then the following summer at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they have a very robust internship program. I think 2 people from Oneonta, Nick and this other girl, Brittany, were there. I'm still in touch with her. She's actually my real estate agent. So if anyone needs one, I have someone. But networking, it goes back to networking. So how did I get a job? I talked to people. And then after the internship, I had the opportunity to interview. So I had a job after graduation by Christmas of senior year. So that felt great. I know I still needed to pass my classes and everything, but just having that stability and not having to hunt. So intern if you can, as early as you can. But I didn't end up taking that job. If anyone looked at my resume, I ended up taking a job as an IT recruiter. But the reason I bring that up is because I also met that network connection at Enterprise. Her name is Francesca. We worked together. I was an intern. She worked at the branch. And then I was going to take the job with Enterprise. I went to her. And it's kind of just talking like, what do you like about Enterprise? What do you not like? What would you change? And she went to work in IT recruiting, and I got an interview and I got the job. I was there almost 2 years. COVID hit, changed jobs. Like Nick said, you don't have to stay at your first job forever. Don't get stuck there. If you're unhappy, make a move because it's the time to do it, and reach out to us if you have questions on how to do that. But then I went to 1-800-Flowers through my Oneonta referral. And the original girl, Francesca, who I knew from Enterprise, we worked at the tech agency, she got laid off from her startup. And now she works at 1-800-Flowers with me. So it's kind of just like full circle, like Nick was saying, have your network. These are people in HR, people in recruiting and IT. So build that network and never stop.
Thank you, Virginia. Sophie, what's the hardest thing about transitioning to life after graduation?
Yeah, this question's definitely, am I muted? Sorry. I am, okay. This question's huge because I feel like it's very under talked about, and I, for one, was incredibly stressed after college and just didn't really know what to expect at all. And I would say that the hardest thing about transitioning to life after graduation is the fear of the unknown, also known as stress or anxiety for some. And whether that's finding a job, or maybe it's figuring out what job you want to even find, or it's finances, or just changes in general, there's a lot to be stressed about for sure. But I think just having the knowledge that it is a turbulent period of your life, and really taking that into consideration, because I remember when I first graduated, I was I didn't feel like myself, to be honest. I felt like very anxious, like a little uncertain, more so than I ever had. And I didn't really know about this like thing that after college graduation, going into the real world, it kind of like messes with your mind a bit. So all in all, I would just say, it's an anxiety-ridden experience or a stressful experience when you don't have that college support any longer. So all I can say is that no matter like what route you want to take in securing your first job, whether that job happens straight out of college, or maybe you decide to travel for a year, or maybe just something doesn't pan out for you and it takes a little bit longer to get your job. I can assure you, one thing that I keep telling myself to this day, because I've only been out of college for a few years now, is that you have the rest of your life to work, and you have the rest of your life to perfect it and find what you really love, and to take that break. I didn't get to take a break because I didn't allow myself to take a break after college before going into a job, because I was too stressed. And I wish I did, to be honest. It's not the end of the world. And tying it back to my last question about just kind of the internships and everything, that's also a nice way to mitigate that anxiety or fear of the unknown. Start indulging yourself into what the real world encompasses, and find out for yourself, get little tastes of it before you actually enter it yourself. But also just knowing it's a stressful process, I think is important. You're not alone. It's stressful. It's college, or it's after college. So yeah, that's what I would say.
So, Nick, how did your previous job as a business analyst help you with your future position as a financial advisor?
Yeah, so the short answer is it just kind of showed me how to do your research, analyze, right? What does an analyst do? They analyze data and trends, and then defend that opinion, right? So think of maybe your projects that you do now in school or some of those higher level classes if you're a senior. It's being able to do some research, and if someone presses you on it and say, why do you like this? You can defend it with X, Y, and Z answers, and you can be confident in your ability to explain to someone why they should make a decision. So as an analyst, you're doing it for your boss, where now as a financial advisor, I'm doing with, your average person, a client or a prospect.
Thank you, guys. That concludes the formal session. So now we'll begin the Q&A. So don't be shy, y'all. Please raise your hand and we'll have you ask a question. And once we have your question, you'll get a raffle ticket. So please put your first and last name on it, so we'll be able to know who you guys are, because people do share the same name. And yeah, who's first? Oh, hi.
Should I come to the mic or?
Can you project?
Yeah.
Can you project? Okay.
So I have a question for Nick Seabrook. I also love to travel, and I know you said that you found a job that allowed you to do that. What would you say the best app or methods are to find a job that's going to allow you to travel either for work or in your free time?
Yeah, I thought I was on mute for a second. Great question. So basically, like the reason I've been able to do it is because I've worked in sales for the last 5 years. First was corporate recruitment sales for inside salespeople, But part of that was like when I took the job, I let them know like, hey, traveling is one of my passions. Are there going to be opportunities to travel with this role? And then what do those opportunities look like? Also, if you find yourself working for an international company, so the first company I worked with out of school was a British recruitment company. So I knew there was going to be an opportunity to travel to the HQ in England. So having that conversation with the people, the employer that you're looking to join is one thing. Also, when you graduate, and I'm sure other people on this panel can attest to this, recruitment and sales is typically somewhere where they try to get people straight out of college. They have a lot of soft skills and they're malleable. So they try to incentivize you by paying you a low salary with travel. Like, I think I was making 45K coming straight out of college. And I was like, all right, at least I get to travel once in a while. I get to go over the country. So again, having that conversation with your employer, understanding what are your incentives, how do you keep a young workforce motivated, and what are the opportunities to travel, I think are the ways I was able to find my role. And now in my role today, I'm an account executive for a tech company, late stage startup. I get to travel, but mostly intercontinentally. So I might be in a different state for 5 weeks straight, but it's all part of the grind. So again, have the conversation with your employer and seek out roles or companies that have multiple different offices where you can visit other offices and work internationally.
Shai, any other questions?
Alright. How useful do you think LinkedIn is, and how did you use that to get a job? Anybody?
I can answer that one. Was it how important is LinkedIn and how do you use it to get a job? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I think LinkedIn is extremely important. I was a recruiter, now I work in HR, but I just think it's 2023 and everyone should have a LinkedIn. It should be on your resume. It should be hyperlinked so that, like, I'm a recruiter. I look at resumes for like 3 seconds. I have 100 applicants to every role, whether it's IT, working on a nonprofit role, a retention marketing manager. So point being, always submit your resume as a PDF, not a Word document. Always hyperlink your email so that a recruiter can click it and easily send you a message or an email, and hyperlink your LinkedIn. I would showcase that you guys are a part of this club. I would have a photo, have a bio. I think LinkedIn's super important. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in and add anything I might have missed.
Yeah, I'll just say I also used to do recruitment. As far as your resume goes, I cannot stress this enough. You are an early stage applicant. Your resume should not be 2 pages. It should be 1 page. Like, I can't count how many times I got resumes where it was like 3 pages and the guy just graduated from college. It's like, no, like it should be 1 page. Secondly, like your profile photo, I know it doesn't seem important now. Do not put up a profile photo from like your fraternity's mixer. Don't do it. Get a professional headshot, ask it for a graduation gift, or find a friend with a camera. It does not age well. It does not age well really fast. And then the last part, it's like LinkedIn networking, I think, gets stressed out a lot and people don't really talk about it enough about how it's really done. Messaging me and just saying, hey, I saw you went to Oneonta, let's connect, is not networking. That's the laziest form of networking. Reaching out to me and just saying like, hey, I saw you went to Oneonta, you also were a business economics major, my name is XYZ, I'm looking to get involved in these fields and thought that you might be able to help me or like, give me some advice or at least like intro me to somebody wherever. That is a proper networking message. Like, people will respond to that. But just sending out blank messages saying you went to Oneonta, I went to Oneonta, That is not networking. That is lazy networking. And people are going to ignore those messages.
Thank you, guys. Little side note, for the people attending online, can you comment your first and last name so you can be recorded for attendance? Now back to the Q&A. Any more questions? Okay, well, the panelists will be asked some general questions from us, but feel free, if you guys have a question, just raise your hand, and you guys will still get to interact. So the first question for the panelists is what are the day-to-day activities at work like for you? And everyone can answer. So we'll start with Nicholas Brooke.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I'm an account executive at a late stage SaaS company selling to manufacturing. So my day-to-day is typically either I'm meeting with clients or meeting with prospective clients. We sell to global manufacturers. So like I had a probably crazy one the other day. I had a 7 a.m. meeting in Istanbul, and then like I had a later meeting in Japan in the day. So it's like I can be up for 12 hours doing work, but mostly it's just meeting with clients, preparing for meetings, meeting with cross-functional teams, and leading account teams to make sure they understand exactly what we need to deliver on. So it could be a mixture of emails, meetings, power sessions. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier, it's all about having a clear agenda. So if I'm going to be part of a meeting, there's a clear agenda in that meeting, and I at least have things like put together about what's going on. The other part is I script out my days. So before I get into it, I understand what I'm going to do in that day, whether it's emails, calls, meetings, or account strategy.
I can go. So day to day in HR, I recruit about 4 to 5 roles. I do learning and development, which means LinkedIn Learning, different trainings, different programs at the organization. So we have a mentorship program we're working on and a learning and development program for leaders. I do leave of absences, benefits, some employment verification. So HR, my title is a generalist, so I do everything. I'm not yet kind of siloed or niche, however you want to say it, into a specific part of HR purposely, because I'm still learning. I'm in my 20s. I'm figuring out what I want to specify in. But yeah, definitely set a plan every day. There's probably at least one meeting. Some are phone calls with candidates for the job they applied to. Others are internal calls to go over plans and strategy. I also block time in my calendar to get work done because it's pretty easy, especially if I'm in the office, to get pulled in a lot of different directions. So it's important to have a plan every day, no matter what job you have.
I can go. So I'm a sales enablement coordinator at Dow Jones, and I focus on the risk and compliance product. My day-to-day, I honestly didn't know what a sales enablement coordinator was before I joined. So if you don't, I don't blame you. It's fairly new to corporations, but basically it's kind of like the middleman to help a marketing team branch to their sales team. So I work a lot on our sales enablement platform and manage that, which takes a lot of governance and keeping up with that. I upload new documents, new pitches for the sales team, things like that. And a lot of my job is just helping train sales, whether that's how to best utilize the platform or train them in how, what to look for to learn what they need to learn to pitch to other people. So that's a massive part. And then what I'll do, which is the bulk of my job, is use that platform to analyze the data on how it's performing on the client's end. And then it's my job to kind of see, okay, this is not being received well from the client's perspective, or they're not opening it, or they're looking at the content for 5 seconds instead of 5 minutes. So that signals that there needs to be some point of change, whether that's in the way it looks, it's just not attractive, it's not catching people's eye, or the content itself, etc. But that's basically what I do, working as a middleman to leverage marketing and sales and combine them all into one.
Right. I assume last but not least, hopefully. So at Edward Jones as a financial advisor, I'm essentially running my own business. So wake up in the morning, listen to a podcast or an audiobook. Definitely your Nick Seabrook there. Try to get some market news, try to understand what happened the day before. Again, roll in, see if I got any notifications, if there's any investments that maybe a client is invested in that we no longer agree with, or if there's better opportunities somewhere. Then I'll try calling my favorite clients, try to get in the right mindset, talk to people that I want to talk to, and kind of set me up for the rest of the day. Then I typically have an 11 o'clock appointment, so that could be an hour, hour and a half, depending. If I need to place a trade or follow up on some annuity paperwork, I do that, and then I break for lunch, usually about a half hour, and I'm on LinkedIn, kind of scrolling, messaging people, prospecting a little bit. Then probably another appointment, 1 or 2 o'clock. Again, similar as before. Then I often have like a late appointment for people who are still working. So 4 or 5, 6 o'clock, depends on the client. Then go home and eat a big dinner.
We have a question from online. Thank you, Julian, for asking this. The question is, if you get multiple job offers, what factors help you narrow it down?
Virginia, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, can you repeat it? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
If you get multiple job offers, what factors help you narrow it down?
Oh, okay. So, honestly, just really think about what you like versus what you don't like. And it's kind of cliche, but very true. It's easier to know what you don't like. So I had an offer from Enterprise, and I knew personally that was kind of like my safe offer. It wasn't what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, but I was going to graduate and have a job close to my home on Long Island so I could live at home and save money and grow in my career. And then I got another offer, and I only accepted verbally, so it's not like I signed anything, and nothing's really legal anyway. So you can always change your mind. Don't feel like you owe anyone anything. You should do what's best for you. And this other job, it excited me more, and it was just really it excited me more. So it's a silly way to say it, but look at both jobs, make a pro con list like anything in life. A job is like a relationship. You choose to be a part of it, for the most part, right? We're not like tied to it in any specific way. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what you just said there, I would say also like understand where you want to get to in a few years. Like your first job is more of just a launch pad to where you ultimately want to end up. I mean, the first job you take out of college is not going to make or break you. So again, like if a role is offering you, some type of hybrid, opportunity versus another role that is going to have you in the office every day, those are things that you might want to take into consideration. Travel, again, some roles might have you traveling once a month or twice a month. Some roles you're never going to travel at all. I think business travel is something that we always think is so sick when we're in college. And then you find yourself on a 7 p.m. flight to Toledo, and you're just like, that's not as sick as I thought it would be. So again, like really understand what you're getting out of the role. And a piece of advice that I wish I had earlier in my career, in a role, you either need to be learning or earning. If you're doing both, you're in a really good role. If you're doing neither, you need to get out of that position. So again, learning or earning. Those are the two biggest things you need to be doing one of, at least in a position, in my opinion.
And to both of their points, which are fantastic points, like Virginia said, something that excites you is so important. And like Nick said, something at least you have to be like learning for sure. And once you feel like you're maxed out, then go to your next role. But I would be remiss to say that my dreaded sales role when I was recruiting for asset managers and I was scared to get on the phone, I learned so much from that and developed a new sense of confidence and something that I didn't even know I needed. I would have happily taken a marketing role that was behind the computer, but I'm happy I was able to have that role as an opportunity for me to do. And then same thing with my sales enablement coordinator role. I'm ideally wanted a marketing role, but got made to the final rounds and it's still in the foresight in my future, but I wasn't quite there yet. And I'm like mind blown how much I've learned from it, just being in the atmosphere, like let alone the role is a role. but being in the atmosphere and learning what you have to learn to do well at your role is super important. So I would say, when you feel like you can't learn anymore, or you're feeling like your drive is gone, or you're just less excited about your day to day, that's probably a signal to hop to the next stone.
Thank you. This next one is another question for any of the four of you. Did you have any personal expectations for yourself, even outside of the school? I can rephrase that.
Is that related to a job or anything? I feel like it could go so many different directions.
Yeah, that's a fully loaded question there.
What was the question? I'm sorry, I'm having so much trouble hearing.
I'm gonna rephrase it. Back in college, did you have personal expectations for yourself outside of the classroom?
I mean, at Oneonta, outside of the classroom, I definitely, wanted to learn and try to join other clubs, just to learn outside of just what you learn in the books. Because those soft skills that you learn, I think, are what got me all three of the jobs that I got hired for.
Yeah, I think the only expectation that I set coming out of college was I was like, I want to find a role that's going to pay me at least 50K base salary, and I want to move out of my parents' house in like 12 months. But what I did learn is not paying rent is sick, and if you could stay at your parents' house for a little bit longer, definitely do that. Rent is expensive, especially if you move to New York City, but also commuting from wherever you're at is also a drag. There should be a college course on commuting. I truly believe that. But again, I think the only expectations I had coming out of school was I want to find a role that'll pay me 50K, and I want to get out of my parents' house as fast as possible. But again, everyone's life is different. If you live in the city or live in Long Island, you might have an opportunity to stay home for longer. But understand what are your non-negotiables and then work yourself back from there.
Yeah, to Nick's point, I also wanted to move out. I thought it was almost like embarrassing living at home, but definitely save all you can. Rent's only increasing in the New York metropolitan area, and houses are just another story. So stay home. It's totally fine if you can, because commuting can also be costly. So weigh out the pros and cons, and budget expense. Create a budget for yourself and track your expenses. And in college, outside of work, I worked in college. I worked at Phonathon, so I would call alumni. So I liked doing that because I felt like I was earning a little in college. It was just my spending money to go to those ladies' nights and to go to the Red Jug and everything, do the t-shirts. So maybe pick up a side job in college if you can as well.
Thanks, guys. Another question is, what class or coursework do you feel prepared to do the most for your children's work?
I would say corporate finance is an easy one for me. But we were talking about Durkin earlier, and I think organizational behavior and that one paper we did on kind of a struggling company, and I think it was like 5 or 6 pages, and you really had to defend your point. I mean, I think that definitely changed me as a writer after doing that one.
Yeah, persuasion. I think
Yeah.
it was like Persuasion 101. Like I had no idea that persuasion was actually a class. I think I took it because I thought it was going to be an easy A, and it ended up being one of my favorite classes of all of college. So I think at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier about being a reader, there's a book called To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. And it basically just explains everything that you do within your organization, whether it's external or internal, you're selling an idea or pitching a thought. You raise your hand and bring up an idea to your CEO or to your boss, you're going to have to sell that idea to him or her. So understanding how to be persuasive internally and working with cross functional teams is super important. And I think persuasion that was taught, I forget the professor's name, but great course. If you have an opportunity to take it, I definitely would.
Thank you. This is a question for any of you. Are the demographics of your firm diverse? Are the various backgrounds and age groups you can learn from?
Are the demographics at your firm diverse? Are there various backgrounds and age groups you can learn from? And I'm just gonna post the question in the chat in case people can't hear it.
Thank you.
I can take a stab at this one. So at Edward Jones, we're actually a private firm. And with kind of the maybe stereotype, if that's a word I can use, it's that it's an old white guy that's kind of behind the desk managing investments for everybody. The firms actually realize that, and they're really looking into adding a lot different, diverse groups of people to, be at the firm. So definitely an opportunity if you're not an old crusty white guy to work at Edward Jones. Other various backgrounds and age groups you can learn from, definitely. So because at Edward Jones, you're a business owner and there's only one financial advisor per office. If you walk into my office in Newburgh, it's just me. So because of that, there's no competition. So I can go to any Edward Jones office within the Hudson Valley or throughout the country, and people are more than willing to help because as a partnership, we all get more dollars as other people are profitable. So definitely a great culture and a lot to learn, and people are willing to teach you.
Does anyone else have any questions for our panelists? No? Okay. Which professional role did you find that you enjoyed the least? And anyone can answer this.
That's such a good question. I guess I'll take a stab at it. I guess like when you, I guess this concept of money, right? Like when you graduate, you think to yourself like, oh man, like I want to make so much money, and like if I make all this money, I'm gonna be so happy. But it's like you can make all this money and be miserable. Like there's people out there that are making 200K, 300K, and they're absolutely miserable. Like they never get to hang out with their friends. They're always busy on the weekends. Like they don't have any time for an actual social life because they're working all the time. Personally, once I hit my financial goal, as far as like a base salary, I was just like, wow, like I don't feel too much different than what I thought I would feel like. So I think it's not really about the end goal or where you find yourself at. It's about the journey to get there because it's treacherous. There's going to be highs and lows. So I would say make it bigger than money. I mean, money's awesome, but like just make it bigger than money. Again, work-life balance, being able to hang out and spend time with your family, have a social life, grab a beer on a Thursday. All those things are important. So I would say I definitely missed out on some beers and some hanging out and some, worked on a couple weekends here and there where I could have just been enjoying my time, all for the strive of like reaching this financial goal. Not that it's not sick, but like there's a lot you miss out on the way there. So just figure out what you're willing to give up to get to where you want to be. Like, waking up at 6 a.m. to do something and stuff like that. So figure out what means the most to you and then go after it.
I can piggyback off what Nick said. I have a lot of friends, even from Oneonta, who are accountants, and they might work at EY or Big Four, and they have busy seasons over the summer. And it's good, and you get the experience, work at the Big Four, but people leave because there is no work-life balance at some of these jobs. But some people become partners and they come home at 10 p.m. every night, and maybe their husband or wife has dinner in the oven and they're already sleeping and they're fine with that. So you really need to just figure out what's important to you. I know that, I also have financial goals and I want to hit them, but I don't want to have to stay at the office till 8 p.m. every night. I want to be able to go to the gym after work or cook dinner or watch a show. So it's kind of trial and error. You might get that job that is the long hours and all the maybe overtime, or maybe you get a bonus if you hit a certain goal. But the minute that stops like not fulfilling you with joy, and yes, the job can give you joy, just try to look elsewhere or even look inward and see what you can do to change that.
Thank you, guys. So that concludes our Life After Graduation events. Let's give our panelists a round of applause. guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank
And
you.
To those that more.
Add us on LinkedIn.
Guys
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
I don't know, like,
Bye.